Good miniature morning, Rodge here, aka the Wisco Horn Dog. I am enjoying a piping hot cup of Door County peanut butter gourmet coffee. Door County is the touristy area of Wisconsin, just the tip here, just the tip. We're by Green Bay, and smells all right. Let me taste slightly nutty, not so good. I like last week's grog a little bit better, but we're going to drive it in anyways. Good times. Okay, so we are catching up on last week's discussion about staying on top of your painted model collection. So there's various ideas that were proposed, and a big thanks to everybody that contributed to that. And we're going to go through the various suggestions and see what we're gonna do here, because I gotta do something. I can't fumble my way through life anymore. We're gonna figure this out. So couple ones right off the bat here. We got Christian Taylor responding below. The threshold for new products is 1 month to get them painted. And I've got one from Andrew on Twitter at swarthy_swabs. I do try to stick to 3 months for any project, as I get antsy taking longer than that. So 2 suggestions there, kind of dealing with the end of the time frame. So 1 month, 3 months. So that seems reasonable to me. We got K-Man Awesome, who posted below on last week's video. He would say 1 model every Monday. So that would certainly align well with what I got going on here. And I probably will have some week-to-week hobby goals, but I don't want that to be my main thing. But I think that is a pretty decent idea. It's 52 models in a year. I think last year I probably actually painted 70 to 80. So it definitely would keep you on track. And what I'm trying to avoid is going 2, 3, 4 weeks without picking up the brush. I think that's my main issue. Once I sit down and paint, I can really knock these things out relatively quickly, but usually I need some kind of external impetus to keep me going. So yeah, that one is looking good. I got quite a few messages about these following ideas, so I think this one's pretty popular. Lou at Sexy Dragon Magic on Twitter. I'm just trying to follow the rule of once I open a box, I need to assemble and paint to completion. Andrew S, and not Andrew S, Andrea S at Lucky Sixes. Buy a box, don't buy another until first is painted. Hobby Killer at UberTechie74. Must paint all subsequent purchases completely before making further purchases. And then Vincent Venturella at Warhammer Weekly. Yes, my rules are just don't buy an army until you're 100% on the current army. So I think those are pretty cool rules to live by. I don't think I'm going to do something like that just because I'm going to be juggling multiple projects throughout the year. If you're definitely more of a one game system type fella, this is for you. Although you could easily do something like this for each of your game systems that you play to kind of keep you on track, but it doesn't address the overall. If you play 5 different games, I'm not going to hold up my purchases on one Infinity just because I'm working on Saga models. Although, I guess that does make sense because I'm not going to be able to paint them anyways. But yeah, I think that was probably the most common reply. And I think it is a pretty good rule of thumb. It's nice and simple. I'm looking for something a little more complicated. So Neo Stone Monk at Stone Monk Gamer, he would give himself less than or equal to 3 work in progress and drift between them. Complete or sell one to introduce another. A kick bash conversion with multiple boxes equals 1 work in progress. So this one I like. It's more complicated. Certainly I don't have a problem with complications based off the entire setup and spreadsheet of the 100% paint challenge, but I think this is a good idea. I'm probably going to do something similar, maybe. I guess we'll see in the end here. I haven't totally decided until I go through all of these. So this one I like. It kind of lets you drip between multiple projects. You know, you're kind of a human. You want to work on multiple stuff. It's a little less draconian, I would say, with the 3 work in progress options, but it gives you a nice kind of upper cap for what you can have on your workbench before you buy new shit. Another fun one from Casimir Ehrenborg at Acuna. Instantly start collecting with no rules for 1 year. Then the next year restart the 100% paint project, rinse and repeat. That one, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. That 100% paint challenge is so kind of grueling. Although I'm sure the follow-up ones would be perfectly fine. But I don't think I could do it again. I'm up here. I'm gonna stay up here. I don't want to go back down. But that would probably work for some folks, depending how many models you buy. 1 year of just open range, buying whatever you want, and then 1 year of buckling down. It would certainly be a fun year with the no rules. And then you probably, I don't know, kind of depends if you're the kind of person who throws your future self under the bus, but I don't even know if I could really go wide open without thinking about that follow-up year and be like, ooh, I'm really setting myself up here. So that one is a fun one. I got 2 good suggestions for people who haven't really gotten themselves to 100%. First one's from Ando at AndZZ79 on Twitter. I'm going to try that I can only buy 1 new model for every 2 painted. So this is probably more in a line if you don't have all your stuff painted yet, or maybe it is. I guess I'm kind of reading it that other way. But I think that is a decent rule, kind of tying your paint output to the new stuff that you can buy. This one doesn't look like there's upper cap, so you can get a little wild. Another one, Charles Alexander at Checkout. This may take a while before you buy any new mini paint or sell 2 from your backlog. I found this helps my painting motivation, so really similar type idea. I really like that one. And I'm trying to think about if I were to do the paint challenge again, there's kind of, you can address the main backlog or you can address the stuff coming in, which last year it was addressing the main backlog. I didn't really talk about the stuff coming in per se. And I think this would be a good way to kind of tackle both of those if you don't want to do a really big challenge and selling stuff wholesale. This would try to limit your stuff coming in, and probably over time you'd definitely be able to get up a pretty high paint count, I think, and overall limit yourself. We got a kind of a ridiculous one here from Dave Fraser at Diffrog1. I have my army of on-call golden demon level painters to do it. As I'm living in a fantasy land, I may as well run with it. So for a lot of people, having most of their models painted does seem to be a fantasy land. And anytime I bring up this discussion on Twitter, it's pretty awesome because there's always a number of hostile, I want to say hostile, kind of cheeky responses where people just completely outright reject the premise, and I'll show up a few of those. Well, that is about that for the response, overall discussion. Thanks to everybody who piped in, and I guess my thoughts going into this are there's kind of two sides of this coin. You can have like a final target date, which is, you know, the end line within 30 days, within 90 days as mentioned. But I didn't really see too much addressing the kind of in the door stuff. So I kind of, when you have those timelines, you can still end up procrastinating unless they're really short. And then when they're really short, they're kind of, you know, it's getting to be unreasonable to have like a 2-week deadline and you buy a couple units of guys, you're not going to finish that. So I want to challenge myself, but kind of limit the procrastination. So what I'm going to do is kind of address both of those ends. And what I'm going to set up for myself, and we'll see how it works. I'll give it a test run for maybe a couple of months here and kind of report back. But I'm going to kind of go with like a 20, I'm going to call it the rule of 24 for now. But This is to address procrastination specifically and kind of keep me on track, especially with doing these videos and stuff like that. It can be tough to find the time. So the rule of 24 is whenever I buy a new model, I want to start assembling it within 24 hours of actually receiving that model. So it doesn't have to be finished within 24 hours. I just have to start. And then, once you start assembling something, your tendency is going to be to want to finish it. And then similarly, once it's done being assembled, whenever that may be, I'm going to get it primed within 24 hours. So just keep me on the next step here. And then once it's completely primed, I'm going to start painting it within 24 hours of that. So this is to kind of address procrastination in general, because I find once you just start something, you're going to want to finish it. So the key for me is to just starting it, because most of those models that I had, I bought them and then I never even took them out of the package, so there's no way I was going to paint them. So this is my kind of idea to kickstart that. And so it doesn't mean within 3 days I'll be painting a model necessarily, because once you start assembling something, if you're doing a conversion, it can take you a lot longer. But then I did want to have on the back end a 24-day overall timeline. So kind of the rule of 24 kicks out. It's about a month, so anything like that would probably work. So that is what I'm going to do, the rule of 24 going forward. So I think that's good. It's got a mix of kind of keeping me on track at the beginning, and then there's a hard line at the end where if I'm fucking around, there's that hard stop. One thing is I don't really have any rewards or anything for myself. I'm not super motivated. I guess I can buy more stuff. I don't have like a penalty in mind like that. But I think I'm just kind of motivated by probably social aspects, because my idea is I'm going to talk about this every Monday, so you guys will know if I succeed or fail. So just those social consequences, I think, are going to what I use to keep me in line here. So that is that. I did have a paint goal for last week, which was to paint up the last Infinity Pan-Oceania remote. So you can see, I don't know if it's going to focus in here, but he's pretty much completed. I got to do the base yet, and then there's some varnish, some sparkle stuff I'm going to add to it, but he's pretty much done. And I have to say, I probably wouldn't have finished him because there's no pending tournament or anything, or any particular reason to get him done. But since I said that I would, I painted him, so that worked out really well. And for next week, I'm going to try to address those backlog. There's about 5 models. So I'm going to put these rules into play. I'm going to assemble them, and then once they're done being assembled, prime, base coat. And so some of them may be started, some of them may not. Some of them were just gifts, so I don't necessarily want them or want the burden of painting them. So I might decide to sell them or kind of break them down for conversions or something like that. I guess we'll check back next week. So next week, I'll plan to have some models in progress. Probably nothing will be painted, but I will be attempting the rule of 24. So I think that's it. If you are going to put any of these rules into progress yourself, I'd love to hear about it. If you did the paint challenge, I would love to hear about that as well. There was a awesome cat at Hot Dice Miniatures who did his inaugural paint challenge video. So good luck to that cat. Looks like he had a ton of models. I'll put a link below, and you can see his counts. He went through the closet and everything, and he modified the rules a bit for himself, which I think is cool because you need to personalize these things to really invest in them. So yeah, check that cat out, Travis. He's a cool guy. And I think that's it for this week, friends. So favorite this shit, become that hobby horn dog you've always dreamed about today, my friends, and I will catch you next week.